What is trauma-informed teaching? Trauma-informed teaching is an approach in education that recognizes the effect of past or ongoing trauma on students' emotional, social, and academic functioning. Teachers who are trauma-informed understand that behaviors often labeled as misbehavior may be responses to stress, fear, or disruption from trauma. They actively build classrooms and school systems that are safe, predictable, supportive, and responsive to students' emotional needs. It is about helping students feel secure, rebuilding trust, supporting emotional regulation, and giving students some control in their learning, and reduce reactivity, decreasing burnout, and increasing effectiveness. When should trauma-informed teaching be used? It should be used continuously in classrooms or in schools, especially where there is known high prevalence of trauma, such as communities with high poverty, violence, or instability. Whenever students are showing signs of distress, such as emotional dysregulation, concentration issues, withdrawal, chronic absenteeism, or behavioral challenges, also it should be used during transitions or crises, such as natural disasters, death in the community, or a pandemic. Proactively and just not reactively, meaning it should be built from the start in policies, teacher training, classroom norms, so that trauma-informed ways are part of the regular culture. What trauma-informed teaching is not. It's important to clarify what trauma-informed teaching is not to avoid misunderstandings. It is not excusing all misbehavior without accountability. Trauma does not mean there are no expectations. Rather, the way expectations and consequences are handled should be more thoughtful, empathetic, fair, and often restorative. It is not the same as providing clinical therapy. Teachers are not therapists. While they support emotional safety and regulation, they should also collaborate with counselors, such as mental health professionals, when needed. It is not lowering academic standards or giving different content simply because a student has trauma. It's more about how learning is delivered and how students are supported. It is not a one-off program or a checklist you adopt temporarily. Effective trauma-informed teaching is sustained, embedded in everyday practices such as school culture, policy, and requires continuous reflection. 2 actions to implement before trauma-informed teaching takes place. Before doing full trauma-informed teaching, here are 2 actions you could take in your educational space to prepare so that later practices are more effective and equitable. First, build meaningful relationships and trust early on. At the start of the school year, spend time getting to know each student, their interests, family background, what they like or dislike, and what kind of learning experiences they've had. Share about yourself appropriately. You own experiences with learning, what you find challenging, what you enjoy, so students see you as a human and trustworthy. Use small conversations, such as morning exit tickets or check-ins, that are not only about academics but also about students' feelings or lives outside of school. Why this matters? Trust is foundational. When students believe their teacher cares and understands, later trauma may happen and they are more likely to feel safe and open in your classroom. This supports the sense of safety and relationship needed in trauma-informed teaching. Second, professional development such as teacher, staff awareness, and shared language helps before implementing trauma-informed teaching practices. Ensure that teachers and staff are trained on what trauma is and how it can affect learning and behavior, and what strategies are helpful. Also, develop shared language across the school. around trauma, such as trigger or dysregulation, and what that means in your school, what responses are expected. Set school-wide norms and policies for consistency. For example, consistent routines, clear expectations, and how to handle emotional breakdowns, or who to involve when students need extra support, for example. Why this matters: without all staff having understanding and using consistent approaches, practices can feel patchy or confusing to students. Consistency across adults in how behavior or misbehavior, emotional outbursts, etc. are handled is more equitable, builds safety, and reduces misinterpretation. 4 different trauma-informed teaching practices include: first, predictable routines and clear expectations. Having consistent schedules, transitions, and rules allow for students to know what to expect. Teachers provide advance notice of changes. And second, choice, or using student voice, gives students options on how to complete an assignment, for example, opportunities to express opinions, and involvement in class decisions. This encourages them to have a say in how the class works. Third, restorative practices instead of punitive discipline. Using conversations, circles, understanding root causes of behavior rather than immediate punishment allow for conflicts to be resolved quicker and more effectively, allowing for understanding of the impact and how to work to repair relationships. Fourth, emotional regulation and safe space strategies. Teaching students skills like mindfulness, breathing, and ways to calm themselves, or using quiet corners or breakout spaces and check-ins for emotional states allow for better emotional regulation.